The skies over Earth turned dark as enormous alien ships arrived, casting shadows over cities and forests alike. People ran to their windows, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and awe as they looked up at the giant crafts. These weren't just any ships. They belonged to the Valkyries, a powerful alien race known for their incredible strength and high-tech weapons. They had conquered many worlds and saw themselves as superior to all other life. To the Valkyries, humans were just small, weak beings who didn't deserve respect. The leader of the Valkyries, Valkyra, was a tall and intimidating figure, with sharp, glowing eyes and a voice that echoed through every speaker on Earth. She made her presence known. "Humans," Valkyra announced, her voice filled with confidence and amusement. "We are the Valkyries, and we have come to your little world. You may think you are strong, but to us, you are nothing more than pets. You will obey and you will serve." Marcus watched from a small hill outside his town, anger boiling in his chest. He was just a regular guy, but the way the Valkyries spoke about humans, as if they were mere animals, felt like an insult too deep to ignore. He clenched his fists, his jaw tight with determination. He didn't know how, but he couldn't just sit back and accept this. They had no right to treat humans this way, and he felt the need to do something about it. The Valkyries spread out across the land, setting up bases in key locations. They were confident and took control easily, with their advanced weapons and armor that seemed indestructible. They walked through human cities as if they owned them, looking at people with a mix of amusement and pity. Some Valkyries even picked up human belongings, turning them over in their hands with expressions of disgust. Valkyra herself seemed to enjoy this new playground. She watched the humans carefully, noticing their fearful looks and hushed whispers. The Valkyries laughed at the sight, as if humanity was nothing but entertainment for them. One of the Valkyries, a soldier named Alera, even called out, "Look at them, so weak and tiny. I bet they can barely lift a weapon." Hearing this, a wave of anger surged through Marcus. He might not be able to lift the heavy weapons of the Valkyries, but he had something stronger, a spirit that wouldn't back down. He decided to keep his distance and observe, carefully noting the Valkyries' movements and weaknesses. The Valkyries continued to mock humans openly. They even put on displays, using their weapons to create bright lights and loud sounds that scared people. They laughed every time a human jumped back or cried out in fear. To them, Earth was just a new place to show off their power, and humans were simply there to admire them. But Marcus knew that under their shiny armor and advanced weapons, they could be beaten. As Marcus watched, he made a quiet promise to himself. "I won't let them treat us like this," he whispered. "I don't care how strong they are. I'll find a way." Back in the towns and cities, many humans were losing hope. They whispered about the Valkyries, their fear spreading as fast as the stories of alien power. Some people talked about surrendering, saying it was better to serve than to suffer. Others, however, felt inspired by Marcus's determination, even if they didn't know his plan. They saw the fire in his eyes and felt a spark of hope. If he could stand up, maybe they could too. Valkyra, meanwhile, noticed Marcus's presence. She found it amusing that a single human would dare to stand and watch her soldiers. "Look at that one," she said with a smirk, pointing him out to Alera. "He seems less frightened than the others. Maybe he thinks he's different." Alera laughed, rolling her eyes. "They're all the same. Weak, scared. He'll learn soon enough." But Marcus wasn't like the others. He knew he was just one man against a powerful race, but he felt a strange strength growing inside him. This wasn't just about survival for him. It was about pride, about defending his home and his people. He knew he'd need a plan, training, and allies, but in that moment, he understood one thing for sure. He wouldn't bow down. He would show these Valkyries that humans were more than pets. And so, as the Valkyries settled in, Marcus began his quiet rebellion. He observed, planned, and waited. He didn't know what the future held, but he was ready to take a stand. The Valkyries might see humans as weak, but Marcus would prove them wrong, one step at a time. Preparing for a challenge, Marcus couldn't shake the image of the Valkyries from his mind. Their tall, armored figures and mocking smiles replayed in his head every night. They had taken over Earth so easily, looking down on humans as if they were insects. But Marcus wasn't ready to let their words or actions define humanity. He believed people had the strength to resist, even if the Valkyries couldn't see it. Every day, Marcus trained in secret. His home was a small cabin in the woods, far from the Valkyries' main bases, making it the perfect place for his quiet preparation. He started with simple exercises, running through the trees, lifting rocks, and doing push-ups until his arms shook with exhaustion. He wasn't just training his body. He was building his determination, step by step. If he ever faced a Valkyrie, he wanted to be ready. But he knew strength alone wouldn't be enough. The Valkyries were warriors, trained since birth, and equipped with technology beyond anything on Earth. So, Marcus studied them carefully. He would venture out at night, watching the Valkyries as they moved around their camps and interacted with each other. From a safe distance, hidden behind trees or rocks, he observed their routines, noticing little details. He saw how their armor glowed faintly, how they spoke in a language filled with sharp, confident tones, and how they handled their weapons with ease. Marcus began to keep a small notebook filled with sketches and notes. He sketched out the shape of their armor, the way their weapons hummed, and any weaknesses he could spot. He noticed that some Valkyries carried lighter weapons and moved faster, while others wore heavier armor that slowed them down. This information became his secret weapon, something he could use when the time came to make his move. In his spare time, Marcus also read old books about Earth's own warriors, ancient soldiers, hunters, and fighters who faced their own powerful enemies. These stories gave him ideas and inspiration. He began to think of ways he could use the land, hiding in shadows and setting up traps. Humans might be smaller, but they could use their creativity to level the playing field. One evening, while training, he met a young woman named Sarah who had seen him running through the trees. She had heard rumors of Marcus's secret training, and her curiosity brought her to his cabin. She approached him cautiously, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and determination. "Marcus," she said, "I heard you're planning something. You're not just going to sit back like the others, are you?" Marcus paused, wiping sweat from his forehead. He wasn't sure if he could trust anyone with his plan, but there was something in Sarah's voice that told him she was ready to stand with him. "Maybe," he replied carefully. "What if I am?" Sarah smiled, her eyes brightening. "Then I want to help. I can gather supplies, talk to others who might be interested. We can't just give up." With Sarah's help, Marcus felt his hope grow. Together, they started gathering people who felt the same way, ordinary humans who wanted to do more than just obey the Valkyries. Each night, a small group would meet in secret at Marcus's cabin. They were farmers, mechanics, doctors, and students, all from different backgrounds, but united by a shared determination. They knew they weren't warriors, but they were willing to learn and support Marcus in any way they could. Slowly, Marcus's cabin became a hidden base. They stored food, water, and basic supplies there, preparing for the day they would stand up to the Valkyries. Some people brought tools and weapons they had made themselves, while others brought news from towns nearby, sharing any new information about the Valkyries' movements. One night, Marcus called everyone together, his voice steady and calm. "We are small," he said, looking each person in the eye, "but we are not weak. We will not let them make us their pets. We will stand up, no matter the cost." The group murmured in agreement, their eyes burning with determination. They knew the risk, but they also knew the importance of what they were doing. For the first time, they felt more than fear. They felt a spark of pride and strength. As they left, Sarah pulled Marcus aside. "Do you really think we have a chance?" she asked, her voice low. Marcus nodded, a faint smile on his lips. "Yes," he replied. "I've seen them. They're strong, but they don't understand us. They don't understand that humans can fight back, even without armor or advanced weapons. They don't know what we're capable of." Sarah's eyes filled with hope, and for the first time since the Valkyries arrived, Marcus felt truly ready for the challenge ahead. He knew they had a long road, but he also knew that together they could surprise even the strongest of alien invaders. The first bold move. Weeks passed as Marcus and his small group of rebels continued their quiet preparations. The Valkyries remained unaware of the hidden human resistance growing beneath their very noses. Marcus studied the alien warriors day after day, learning their schedules, routes, and habits. Every night, he returned to his cabin and shared his observations with the others, their faces lit with nervous excitement. They were ready to take their first bold step, a test to see if they could actually stand up to the Valkyries without being crushed. Marcus had a plan. He knew it was risky, but it was also their chance to show the Valkyries that humans weren't as weak as they thought. The Valkyries had set up a small camp just outside of town, where they stored extra supplies, small machines, food, and their powerful energy cells. These supplies were vital to their operations, and taking them out would force the Valkyries to pay attention to human resistance. One cold, clear night, Marcus gathered his group in the forest just outside the Valkyrie camp. He explained the plan in simple, direct words, his voice steady as he spoke. They would sneak into the camp, sabotage the energy cells, and quickly leave before anyone could spot them. Destroying those cells would set back the Valkyries' operations and show them that humans weren't just going to lie down and obey. "Remember," Marcus said, looking each person in the eye, "this isn't just about hurting them. It's about sending a message. We're going to show them that we're not their pets, we're their equals." The group nodded, their expressions filled with quiet determination. Sarah, who had become Marcus's closest ally, gave him a confident nod. "We're ready, Marcus. We've been waiting for this." Under the cover of darkness, Marcus led his team toward the Valkyrie camp. They moved silently through the trees, their hearts pounding in their chests as they neared the bright glow of the energy cells. The Valkyries had placed them in a small open area, with only a few guards standing watch. Marcus had chosen this night for a reason. He knew that most of the Valkyries would be away, attending a grand meeting in their main base. As they crept closer, Marcus signaled for everyone to split up, each moving quietly to their assigned positions around the camp. They hid behind trees and rocks, waiting for Marcus's signal. Marcus took a deep breath, his hand steady as he carefully took out a small, homemade device, one he had crafted himself using bits of metal, old wires, and a small explosive. With a nod to Sarah, who was crouched nearby, Marcus moved forward, his heart pounding with both fear and excitement. He placed the device carefully next to one of the largest energy cells, its blue light pulsing like a heartbeat. He activated the timer, then backed away, joining the others just out of sight. Seconds felt like hours as they waited. The Valkyrie guards remained unaware, casually patrolling around the supplies, their faces bored and unalert. Just as Marcus had predicted, they had grown too comfortable, too confident in their superiority over humans. They never expected that their precious supplies would be threatened. Then, with a flash and a loud bang, the explosive went off. Blue light flared up as one of the energy cells shattered, its powerful energy bursting out like lightning. The guards turned, eyes wide with shock, as they saw their precious supplies explode into pieces. Panic spread among them as they scrambled to understand what had happened. But Marcus and his team were already on the move. They darted through the forest, using the darkness to hide their escape. Each one felt a rush of adrenaline as they ran, their hearts racing with the thrill of success. They had done it. They had struck their first blow against the Valkyries, and they had gotten away without being seen. Back at the cabin, the group gathered around Marcus, their faces glowing with excitement and pride. They had never imagined that they could actually hurt the Valkyries, but now they knew it was possible. They could fight back, and they could win. "Did you see their faces?" Sarah laughed, her eyes bright with joy. They didn't even know what hit them. Marcus nodded, a satisfied smile on his face. "This is just the beginning," he said. "We've shown them that we're not as weak as they thought. But we still have a long way to go." The group murmured in agreement, each of them understanding the weight of his words. This was only the first step. The Valkyries would surely respond, and the humans would have to be ready for whatever came next. But for now, they savored their small victory, their spirits lifted by the taste of success. As they shared stories of their escape, Marcus felt a deep sense of pride and hope. They had taken a huge risk, and it had paid off. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were fighting, resisting, and showing the Valkyries that humans were stronger than they seemed. In the distance, the lights of the Valkyrie camp flickered in the dark, a reminder of the powerful enemy they faced. But Marcus wasn't afraid. He knew that with each step, each strike, they were getting closer to their goal, and he was ready to lead them every step of the way. The leader's curiosity. The next morning, the Valkyrie camp was filled with tension. Smoke still rose from the ruins of the energy cells, and shattered pieces of metal lay scattered across the ground. Valkyrie soldiers moved around, inspecting the damage, their faces a mix of anger and confusion. They couldn't believe that something, or rather, someone, had dared to challenge them. The Valkyries had conquered Earth effortlessly, and they saw humans as nothing more than creatures to be tamed or ignored. In the middle of the camp, the leader of the Valkyrie forces, Commander Kayla, stood silently, examining the destruction with a thoughtful look. She was taller than the other Valkyries, her silver armor gleaming in the sunlight. Her piercing green eyes moved over the scene, taking in every detail with a cold focus. Kayla was not only powerful, but also known for her sharp mind. She wasn't satisfied until she knew every corner of her enemy's mind, every possible weakness. One of her lieutenants, a fierce Valkyrie with a scar running down her face, approached and saluted her. "Commander Kayla, it seems the explosion was caused by a handmade device, simple but effective. Whoever did this knew our routines well. They must have been observing us." Kayla nodded slowly, her eyes narrowing. "Humans," she muttered, almost to herself. "They're more resourceful than we believed." She turned her gaze to the lieutenant. "Did anyone see anything unusual last night?" The lieutenant shook her head. "No, Commander. It seems they were careful to hide their tracks. They struck fast and left even faster." Commander Kayla was intrigued. She had never given much thought to the humans, dismissing them as weak and submissive. But now something had changed. They had dared to strike back, and in a way that was both clever and bold. For the first time, she felt a spark of respect for these creatures. She wanted to know more, who these humans were and what had driven them to take such a risk. "Send scouts to the nearby towns," Kayla ordered. "Question the people. I want to know if there are any rumors or strange movements among them. Someone must know something." As her orders spread through the camp, Kayla decided to go on a patrol herself. She walked out of the camp, her tall figure cutting a powerful silhouette against the sky. She moved toward the forest where the humans had likely come from. The trees loomed around her, shadows dancing across her armor as she strode forward, alert for any sign of movement. Meanwhile, in the woods, Marcus and his group were watching from a hidden spot behind thick trees and bushes. They had come back to observe the Valkyries' reaction, their excitement from the previous night replaced by a tense focus. Marcus held up his hand, signaling for everyone to stay quiet as they noticed Kayla approaching, her eyes scanning the area carefully. Sarah, crouched beside Marcus, whispered, "That's their leader, isn't it? She looks different from the others." Marcus nodded, his jaw clenched. "Yes, she's the one who leads them all. We need to be careful. She's sharper than the rest. She might even be able to sense that we're here." The group held their breath as Kayla continued to walk through the forest, her steps light and silent despite her heavy armor. She moved like a predator, her eyes missing no detail as she examined the ground and the surrounding trees. A broken branch, a footprint, They were small clues, but she noticed them all. To her, they were pieces of a puzzle, hinting at the human's presence. As she neared the place where the group was hiding, Marcus knew they had to act. He motioned for everyone to start moving back slowly, keeping low to the ground and making as little noise as possible. They carefully stepped away, one by one, their hearts pounding. They could see Kayla's gaze passing over the spot they had just left, as if she could feel the echoes of their presence. But Kayla was not one to give up easily. She knew she was close, and the thrill of the hunt was starting to stir within her. For the first time in a long while, she felt challenged. She took a deep breath, her sharp eyes scanning every shadow, every flicker of movement. Something about this forest felt alive, as if it were holding secrets just out of her reach. Marcus's group finally slipped far enough back to feel a little safer, though they didn't dare let down their guard. Once they were certain they were out of sight, they exchanged quiet, relieved glances. But Marcus felt something deeper. He saw the look in Kayla's eyes, the curiosity and the determination. She wasn't just another Valkyrie. She was someone who would stop at nothing to find them. And that, he realized, made her a much more dangerous enemy. Back at their hideout, Marcus gathered his group and spoke in a low, urgent tone. "We may have gotten away today, but this won't last. She's not like the others. She's going to keep looking for us, and she won't stop until she finds something." Sarah nodded, her face serious. "So what do? We can't keep hiding forever." Marcus took a deep breath, the weight of leadership heavy on his shoulders. "We need to be smarter, faster. If we're going to survive this, we have to stay one step ahead of her. We'll use her curiosity against her, set traps that make her question herself, make her doubt." The group murmured in agreement, and Marcus felt a spark of hope. They weren't just running now. They were preparing, sharpening their strategy. They had taken their first bold step, and now they were ready for whatever came next. Doubts and discoveries. The days passed, and the tension in the Valkyrie camp grew. Commander Kayla could not shake the feeling that the humans were hiding something. Every morning, she sent her scouts into the surrounding areas, but they returned with little information. The humans seemed to have vanished, leaving behind only questions. Kayla found herself spending more time in her tent, staring at maps and reports, trying to piece together the puzzle. One evening, she called a meeting with her officers. They gathered in her tent, the air thick with uncertainty. The light from a small, flickering flame illuminated Kayla's face, casting shadows that made her look even more formidable. "Tell me what you have discovered," Kayla commanded, her voice strong. The lieutenant, who had been with her since the beginning, spoke first. "Commander, we searched every nearby town and questioned the locals. They claim not to have seen any humans for days. It is as if they simply disappeared." Kayla's brow furrowed. "They cannot just vanish. They are cleverer than we gave them credit for. This is a challenge they have created, and we must figure out how to overcome it." Another officer, a younger Valkyrie named Helia, raised her hand nervously. "Commander, I believe they may be using the forest to their advantage. It provides cover, and they know how to move without being seen. Perhaps we should set up patrols inside the woods." Kayla considered this. It was a good idea, but it also made her uneasy. If we go into the forest, we risk falling into their traps. We have already seen their ingenuity. The officers exchanged worried glances. Kayla sensed their doubts, and it made her more determined. "We cannot let them think we are afraid. We must show strength, not weakness. Prepare a team to patrol the forest at dawn. We will find them, and we will make them pay for what they did." As the meeting ended, Kayla felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She wanted to prove herself, but the uncertainty gnawed at her. She had never faced an enemy like this before. They were small and fragile, but they had spirit. She had seen that in their eyes when they had detonated the energy cell. They were fighting back, and it intrigued her. Meanwhile, in the hidden camp deep in the woods, Marcus and his group were also feeling the pressure. They had successfully evaded the Valkyries for days, but they knew it would not last. Their resources were running low, and they needed to make a plan. "We can't just keep hiding," Sarah said, her voice tight with worry. "They will come for us eventually. We need to take action." Marcus nodded, knowing she was right. "We have to gather more information. If we can find out what they are planning, we might have a chance to turn the tide." The group agreed, and they decided to send out scouts of their own. Marcus chose a small team, including Sarah and another brave member named Ethan. They would go deeper into the forest to observe the Valkyrie camp. It was risky, but they needed to know their enemy. As the sun began to set, the team moved cautiously through the trees, careful to make no noise. They crept closer to the Valkyrie camp, hidden behind thick bushes. The sight that greeted them was surprising. The Valkyries were not just sitting around. They were training, their weapons glinting in the fading light. Marcus watched intently as Kayla demonstrated techniques to her soldiers, her voice loud and commanding. "Focus. You must be aware of your surroundings. The enemy is cunning. Do not underestimate them. They may seem weak, but they will fight back." Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine. Kayla was not just a leader. She was passionate and fierce. He could see the way her soldiers respected her, hanging on to her every word. It struck him how different she was from the other Valkyries. There was something deeper in her eyes, a fire that suggested she was more than just a conqueror. "Look at them," Sarah whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "They are prepared. We have to be smart about this." As they observed, Ethan pointed to a pile of gear. "We should grab some of that while we're here. If we can get our hands on their weapons or armor, it might give us an edge." Marcus nodded, knowing the risk involved. "All right, we'll wait for nightfall. When they're distracted, we'll move in quickly. But we must be careful. Kayla is not an enemy to underestimate." As darkness fell, the Valkyries lit fires, their laughter ringing out into the night. The sounds of camaraderie mixed with the crackle of flames created a strange atmosphere. It was a reminder that these fierce warriors were also living beings with hopes and fears, just like humans. Meanwhile, back at the Valkyrie camp, Commander Kayla sat alone by her tent, deep in thought. She gazed at the stars above, wondering about the humans. Why were they different? Why had they sparked a change in her? It was confusing and frustrating. She had always been taught that weakness should be crushed, yet here she was, feeling an unexpected sense of respect for her enemies. Just as she was lost in thought, a scout rushed in, breathless. "Commander, we've spotted movement in the woods. It looks like the humans are planning something." Kayla's heart raced. Finally, they were about to get the answers she sought. "Gather the troops," she ordered. "We will not let them escape this time." As the Valkyries prepared for the impending confrontation, doubts began to swirl in Kayla's mind. Would this battle truly show the superiority of her kind? Or would it reveal that the humans, the very creatures she had dismissed for so long, were more formidable than anyone could imagine? The night was thick with tension, and both sides were ready to discover the truth. The next encounter would change everything. The fight for respect. The air was thick with tension as night fell over the forest. Commander Kayla stood at the edge of the Valkyrie camp, her heart pounding with anticipation. She could feel the energy of her warriors around her, their eagerness to prove themselves mixed with anxiety. The humans had become more than just targets. They had become rivals in a way she had never expected. "Listen up," Kayla shouted, her voice cutting through the night. "Tonight, we show these humans what it means to challenge the Valkyries. They may think they can hide, but we will find them. We will show them our strength." The Valkyries cheered, their spirits lifted by her words. Kayla could see the determination in their eyes, but she felt a strange weight in her heart. There was something about these humans that bothered her, something that made her question everything she had been taught. Meanwhile, Marcus and his team were crouched in the shadows, watching the Valkyries prepare. They could hear Kayla's voice echoing through the trees, and it sent shivers down Marcus's spine. "They are ready for a fight," he said softly. "We need to be smart about this. We can't just charge in." Sarah nodded, her expression serious. "We must find a way to show them we are not just pets. We are strong too. But how do we do that without getting ourselves killed?" Ethan, always eager for action, chimed in. "What if we challenge them? If we can defeat their strongest fighters, maybe they will see us differently. They will have to respect us." Marcus considered this. It was a risky move, but it could be their only chance. "All right, we'll issue a challenge, but we must choose our battles wisely. We can't fight them all at once." As they planned, Kayla gathered her warriors. "Tonight is not just about winning," she said, her voice firm. "It is about proving that we are the apex warriors of the galaxy. Show no mercy, but also remember our honor. We do not kill without reason." The Valkyries nodded, understanding the weight of her words. They moved as one, their hearts set on victory. Kayla felt a thrill of excitement. This was her chance to lead them to glory, to show the universe the power of the Valkyries. When the Valkyries began to patrol the woods, Marcus and his team prepared to make their move. They crept silently through the underbrush, careful to avoid detection. The flickering lights of the Valkyrie camp grew closer, and Marcus felt a mix of fear and adrenaline. Suddenly, Sarah raised her hand, signaling for them to stop. "Look," she whispered, pointing toward a clearing where a group of Valkyries was training. Kayla was in the center, demonstrating combat techniques. It was a perfect opportunity. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his decision. "Let's do it. We'll challenge their best fighter." They stepped into the clearing, stepping out of the shadows. The Valkyries immediately turned, surprised to see humans in their midst. Kayla's eyes narrowed, and she stepped forward, her posture strong and confident. "Humans, what is the meaning of this?" she demanded, her voice fierce. Marcus stepped forward, matching her intensity. "We are here to challenge your best fighter. We want to prove that we are not your pets. We are warriors." The Valkyries exchanged glances, shocked by Marcus's boldness. Kayla studied him, her expression a mix of curiosity and amusement. "You believe you can defeat us?" she asked, a slight smirk on her lips. "We believe we can show you that we are worthy of respect," Marcus replied, determination shining in his eyes. A murmur spread through the Valkyries, and Kayla raised her hand, silencing them. "Very well. If you wish to fight, then let it be so. But know this, if you lose, you will return to your place as pets." Marcus nodded, accepting the challenge. He could feel the eyes of both the Valkyries and his team on him. This was not just a fight for survival, it was a fight for dignity. The clearing was quickly transformed into an arena as the Valkyries gathered to watch. Marcus chose Ethan to fight alongside him. They would need to work together to stand a chance against the Valkyries' strength and skill. Kayla stepped back, her gaze fixed on the humans. "Choose your first opponent," she commanded. "Let us see if you can back up your words." Marcus looked at Ethan, who was ready for action. "You go first. I'll support you." Ethan nodded and stepped forward, facing a tall Valkyrie named Lyra, known for her speed and agility. She cracked her knuckles, a smirk on her face. "Prepare to lose, human." The fight began, and Ethan quickly realized just how fast Lyra was. She darted around him, her movements fluid and graceful. He struggled to keep up, but he remembered Marcus's training. He had to be smart. Ethan feinted to the left, then quickly turned to the right, surprising Lyra. He landed a solid punch to her midsection, making her stumble back. The Valkyries gasped, and Marcus cheered from the sidelines. But Lyra quickly recovered, her eyes flashing with determination. She charged at Ethan, tackling him to the ground. The two rolled in the dirt, grappling for control. Ethan used all his strength, but Lyra was relentless. Kayla watched, her expression unreadable. The humans were fighting fiercely, and it intrigued her. They were not backing down, even against a superior opponent. It was a display of courage that she had not expected. Just as Ethan was about to be pinned, he remembered Marcus's words. Use your surroundings. He pushed against the ground, kicking Lyra off him, and scrambling to his feet. The fight was far from over. With renewed energy, Ethan moved in again, this time more focused. He used quick strikes, surprising Lyra with his speed. The crowd of Valkyries began to cheer, excitement growing, as they witnessed the unexpected battle. As the fight continued, Kayla felt a shift in the air. The humans were fighting for something more than just victory. They were fighting for respect. And in that moment, she began to question her own beliefs. Perhaps there was more to these humans than she had thought. Ethan managed to knock Lyra off balance again, and as she stumbled, he seized the opportunity. With a swift motion, he took her down, pinning her to the ground. The Valkyries erupted into cheers, their surprise palpable. Kayla stepped forward, her expression a mixture of admiration and disbelief. You have proven your strength, human, but do not think this is over. We will fight until one side is victorious. Marcus felt a surge of hope. They were gaining respect, and this battle was just the beginning. The night was just getting started, and both sides were prepared to fight for their beliefs and their dignity. The battle for respect had begun, and neither would back down easily. A new beginning. The sun rose over the forest, casting golden light through the trees. The sounds of birds chirping filled the air, a peaceful contrast to the events of the previous night. As Marcus woke up, he could still feel the excitement buzzing through his veins. They had fought hard, and somehow they had won a measure of respect from the Valkyries. But now, they faced a new challenge. What came next? Marcus sat up and looked around. The humans and Valkyries had camped close together after the fight. It was a strange sight. Once enemies, now sharing space under the same sky. He could see Ethan talking with Lyra, the Valkyrie he had fought the night before. They were laughing, their bodies relaxed and at ease. It filled Marcus with hope. As he stood and stretched, Sarah walked over, her expression bright. I can't believe we did it. They actually respect us now, she said, excitement shining in her eyes. Yeah, but it's not over yet, Marcus replied. We have to figure out how to keep this respect and what it means for both of our people. Just then, Kayla approached them. She looked different this morning, less fierce and more thoughtful. Marcus, she said, her voice steady. Can we talk? Marcus felt a mix of nerves and curiosity. He nodded and followed her away from the others. They found a quiet spot by a small stream, the water sparkling in the morning light. What do you want to discuss? Marcus asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Kayla took a deep breath. Last night changed everything for us. I never expected you humans to fight so fiercely. It made me see you in a new light. We have always seen you as pets, but now I see potential. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Potential for what? Kayla looked directly into his eyes. Potential to be allies. If we work together, we could be stronger. There are greater threats in the galaxy that we both face. But first, we need to build trust. Trust, Marcus repeated, thinking about all the differences between their peoples. That's not going to be easy. I know, Kayla replied. But we can start small. Teach us about your ways, and we will share ours. We can learn from each other. Marcus considered her words. A partnership with the Valkyries could open up new opportunities for both sides. All right, let's try it. We can show you how we work together. Kayla smiled, a rare sight that made Marcus feel hopeful. Good. I will gather my warriors, and we can begin. As they walked back to the camp, Marcus felt a weight lift off his shoulders. They were no longer just humans fighting for survival. They were part of something bigger. They were about to change their fates together. When they reached the camp, Kayla called her warriors together. Listen, she announced, her voice strong and clear. We have a new goal. We will learn from the humans, and they will learn from us. Together, we will prepare for the challenges ahead. The Valkyries exchanged excited glances, Marcus could see the energy in the air, and it was infectious. Sarah and Ethan joined him, their faces filled with anticipation. "Let's get started," Sarah said, her eyes sparkling. The first lesson began that day. The humans taught the Valkyries basic survival skills: how to set traps, find food in the forest, and navigate through the terrain. The Valkyries, in turn, showed the humans their combat techniques, emphasizing speed and agility. At first, the training was awkward. The humans struggled to keep up with the Valkyries' agility, while the Valkyries found it hard to understand the humans' strategic ways. But with patience and laughter, they began to adapt to each other's styles. Ethan and Lyra worked closely together, often finding themselves laughing at their mistakes. "You need to be quicker," Lyra teased after Ethan stumbled during a practice drill. "I'm not going to go easy on you, and I won't give up either," Ethan shot back, grinning. The days turned into weeks, and their bond grew stronger. They celebrated small victories together, sharing stories and meals around the campfire at night. Marcus often found himself deep in conversation with Kayla, discussing their worlds, cultures, and dreams for the future. One evening, as they sat together, Kayla looked at Marcus thoughtfully. "You humans have a strong spirit. It is something we admire. I never thought I would see you as equals." "Thank you," Marcus replied, feeling warmth in his chest. "It means a lot to hear you say that." But not everything was perfect. Some of the older Valkyries were not happy with the partnership. They questioned Kayla's leadership and worried that the humans would betray them. One night, Marcus overheard some of the Valkyrie warriors whispering among themselves. "Why are we training with them? They are not our kind," one said. Kayla caught wind of the discontent and decided it was time to address the concerns head-on. She called a meeting with her warriors and the humans. "Listen," she said, her voice firm yet calm. "I understand your doubts, but we are stronger together. We face many challenges in this galaxy, and it is time to set aside our differences." One of the older Valkyries, a tall warrior named Freya, stepped forward. "But Kayla, we cannot trust them. They could turn against us." Marcus felt a surge of anger but kept his composure. "We have fought side by side. We have proven ourselves. Trust takes time, but we want to earn it." Freya looked at him, her expression stern. "Prove it then. Show us you are worthy of this partnership." Kayla raised her hand to quiet the crowd. "We will undertake a mission together. If we succeed, we will strengthen our bond. If we fail, we will reconsider our alliance." Marcus nodded, feeling a sense of purpose. "What's the mission?" Kayla's eyes shone with determination. "We will venture into the mountains to retrieve a rare mineral that is vital for our survival. If we can do this together, we will have a strong foundation for our future." The warriors cheered, excitement coursing through the air. Marcus felt a rush of adrenaline. They were about to embark on an adventure that could change everything. As he looked at Kayla, he knew this was just the beginning. They were no longer just two different species. They were partners, allies ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would prove their strength and build a future filled with possibilities. The sun set behind the mountains, casting a warm glow over the camp, and as night fell, a sense of hope filled the air. A new beginning was dawning for both the humans and the Valkyries, one where they would fight for each other and learn to trust one another in ways they had never imagined.